This conference will now be recorded.
You got 5 minutes?
We got 5 minutes, yeah.
You need to stop recording?
Yeah.
Stop.
Make up your mind.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, just if I need to leave about 10 minutes to 3, or maybe we end long before that. That is a good thing too. So, purpose of today, the planning meeting, no decisions are made at this meeting, and we'll just be reviewing some topics that are important to us as we move forward. But particularly, the primary thing is looking forward to things that are going to be on our board agenda. So one of the things on the board agenda will be the proposed changes to the rules and regs. Darlene, do you have any other topics that you know of right now that will be on the agenda?
We will most likely, from Steve, if I may say, from the ad hoc this morning, we are hoping that there will be a proposal for the trash.
Okay. Any capital equipment that reserve items that any surprises coming up? Any expenses?
No, other than the sawmill air conditioning unit that we have, but John will be able to speak to that as we're going to be replacing that in-house. Save ourselves about $6,000 by doing it in-house, just on the purchase of the unit, let alone. So $6,600 is what the unit came out to. It's a BOD unit. Quotation was $13,800 for replacement. So we'll be doing that in-house.
And what about the sawmill request for extending that? Are we waiting on that?
That will go to the board.
Okay. All right. And then we'll ask for if there's any committees that want to report out. So I've sent you this morning the revised draft of the rules and regs after we've heard the residents at the board listening sessions at the prior board meeting and at the meeting that we had on Thursday. And again, this is just a draft. It addresses, I believe, what many of the people are requesting. There are going to be some people that are not getting what they want, but there's going to be some people that are getting what they want. So I'll just go over them briefly. The only difference on 1.3, which is the guest definition clarification, instead of being a person who resides, a request that it's a non-resident who resides, a non-resident who stays overnight. Seems quite clear and even better than before. The 1.4, any comments about that? 1.4.b has to do with the recreational vehicles. There was a conversation about decreasing it to 18 feet. Pros and cons about that. Residents who really want this to remain a RV resort, and others who want to acknowledge that people are aging out of their Class A's and are wanting to downsize. So a thing that we heard from a number of people is that the compromise would be that we would leave it at 24 feet being the minimum for an RV, but an exception would be a Class B motorhome may occupy an RV port on a lot with a habitable structure. So this exception does not apply to lots in the ranch where the RV must be a Class A with a minimum length of 28 feet. That last sentence is just to reiterate the current issue that's in the pattern of the RV guidelines. So the exception, the controversial one is that we would then have an exception that a Class B motorhome may occupy an RV port on a lot with a habitable structure. That gets at this is sort of a stepping stone, if you will, instead of changing us from 24 feet down to 18 feet, come get whatever, to having it has to be a Class B motorhome. It can't be a trailer, can't be a pop-up trailer, that kind of stuff. And then, and so we won't turn into a campground.
It's just excluding the travel trailers at this point is what we're doing.
Anyone get some heartburn on that?
I will do what the majority wants, but I'm still not opposed to the 18-foot travel trailer.
I have difficulty differentiating between a 20-foot travel trailer and a 20-foot Class B that are both self-contained, could both be self-contained. I'm not going to say they are. Why did the 20-foot travel trailer get axed but we still allow the Class B.
Just a thought as a stepping stone, but the difficulty one of the things is how would we know? We've got one out there right now that everybody was assumed was a Class B, when in fact it's just really a passenger van. It's not self-contained. So how do we know whether a unit is self-contained or not? So it gets at how do we monitor it?
Well, and we don't have, first of all, we need to make sure, we don't have a length on this, okay? Because Class Bs do come in 18 and 19 foot. But
Air 20.
your travel trailers are all going to be self-contained. Even your 18 footers. What they will have is what's called a wet bath. Okay. But that's still a bath facility where they can, SSS. So they are fully contained, and it's going to be a black tank and a gray tank associated with them. So again, I will do what the majority wants to do if you're looking at it just as a stepping stone, but I don't have a heartburn against having an 18-foot travel trailer sitting on a habitable space. That's the key to me, is the habitable space. I would not want it on a vacant lot.
Marie?
I don't have a heartburn about it either. To me, it's what the residents, the majority of the residents feel, in all truth. I don't really have a stake in the game. Whatever the majority of the residents really feel, it seems like the feedback has really been, people feel strongly about keeping the 24 feet. If that's what it's leaning, then I'll go with it. I don't have feelings one way or the other, in all honesty. I don't. So I'll go with whatever the majority wants.
I don't know that I heard.
That many people heard about 50-50, really.
Yeah.
I really did think
Not half and half.
As far as travel trailers,
I heard more support for Class B than I did travel trailer.
Well, we're talking Sprinter vans, basically, when we're saying a Class B.
Correct. Yeah.
That's what you're seeing.
Or Ford makes something else.
Right, I got it, but it's typically here they are.
I don't know that I really have a problem just leaving it at 18 feet. As long as they have,
be the change. I currently is at 24.
I know,
Yeah.
make it all 18, not just Class Bs.
And that would be from bumper to bumper, not the tongue, the tongue.
Well, isn't the title the one that tells you how long it is? That way you don't have to go with someone's
Was
measurement.
it the title or was it the door?
It's the title.
Was it the title?
The title tells you how long it is.
Or the registration that tells the length.
Registration.
Registration will not, depending
Wait a
on the
minute.
state.
Title.
I just
That's
got-
right, you
I
just
just
said that yesterday.
All titles on vehicles regardless of
It'll tell the length,
I just got a title for my new car.
what
so
state.
say the length.
I believe so.
Okay.
So I don't recall that.
I just got a title for my car, and it's a standard form from the state of Washington, and length is not on it.
I was gonna say, I don't think you're gonna.
I thought it was on the title. If not, I don't know.
This
Well,
is-
no, your car, I don't know about.
Manufacturer tag will say the
But
line.
it says vehicle title is not for my RV.
Interior.
We're not
Vehicle title. Yeah.
Yeah, the model number will say 1801 or 24. It's normally the length
Okay.
without the tongue.
So let's pause then and let's go to John and Al. So, Al, why don't you come up here? Both of you sit up here. Thank you for coming here.
They'll bring you down.
You're not on you're not on any hot seat or anything like that. We just wanted to introduce you to the rest of the board. So we're the board. You're some residents here. So Al has been, how long have you been working for Happy Trails?
About a year and a half.
About a year and a half. And he is taking over Ron's position as supervisor of maintenance. So we're glad that you're here.
Glad to be here.
Good. And John, I understand you just got hired this past summer.
Right, August 21st.
And that you had been retired HVAC person and you got bored being retired?
Yes.
So
If we work him too much, he's going to retire again. So we've got to balance this out.
So Mike between you and John, why don't you tell us what you guys have been having, John?
Well, Johnson found a lot of recurring issues with our maintenance to our HVAC units, and then we kind of let John loose, and John's been running. I tell you, John's been going through a lot of our units, and he's found. John's going to speak to this much better than I will. He's found that there's been a lack of maintenance. And then that's just kind of where we're at. We need to implement a maintenance plan. That's what they've been, performing. Really establish some ongoing maintenance to our existing units. Not just speaking that, generally speaking, for all of our facilities, but HVACs are huge. We lost, yeah, six.
I would think, yeah.
At least six over the summer, and it was pretty detrimental. And I think a lot of that had to do with a lack of maintenance.
General maintenance,
Yeah.
routine maintenance.
We didn't have prior routine maintenance on any of the units, basically. They would break down, we would call somebody to come in, and we pay an astronomical charge.
Run the failure.
Yeah, run the failure. So, with having John, routine maintenance on it, he did NC2 about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. 6 units up there, serviced all 6 of them. And
What did you see in that, John?
Well, the first unit that went down was lack of maintenance because of the electrical connections, and it burnt all the way back into the box that's going downstairs in the panel. So I replaced all the electrical going from there to the unit, the contactors, the run capacitors were bad, just a lot of electrical issues basically. So we got that back up and running. And then the other units, lack of refrigerant leaks, manufacturer defects, where we bought something was sold to us and the coils are all flattened, and you get a discount as a contractor. I was one for 9 years, but you get a discount and then you sell it to a customer.
at full price.
Well, at full price.
Yes.
And then they're stuck with it if you don't fix it. So, and that's what I found. It's a few of those. Yeah, both of them had leaks on them. One looked like somebody had serviced it in the past. I don't know. Of course, it wasn't us. I'm sure it was a contractor. Left caps loose, etc. Ended up with leaky valves in it. Basically, just the Schrader valves would leak off in the atmosphere, so you lose your charge. Yeah, it's R410A. It's a dual mixed refrigerant. One leaks faster than the other, and then you end up with no cooling.
Well, we're very glad that both of you are on board, and really looking forward to seeing those skills. As I'm sure that Mike's told you, as board, we have to approve any purchases and that kind of stuff, and we would like to be able to get to the point where those air conditioning units, it's not like having a heart attack, you can't plan it, but at least if we know that we've only got a little bit of life on something, can help us prioritize some of our spending. So Steve's sitting right there. Steve's the liaison to the BG&M committee, so I'll be looking forward to hearing a lot from you and Mike on that. And then it helps inform our budget committees in the back with the mustache there, Blaine. He's one of the representatives in the budget committee. They'll be, with all the work that you're doing, I think it will give us a better idea as we're moving forward of which one we have to do, and in essence, that we don't get so many surprises.
Right.
Yeah.
So my question, I do have a question though. So I'm assuming, because I'm not an HVAC gal, you have developed, or you have a checklist type thing that you look at when you're going through, or you're writing up a curriculum kind of thing, so that we don't lose sight of this in the future should you decide to retire
I
again?
don't know if this is a smart TV or not, but if it is, I mean, we could project what we've already recorded on some of those.
So he's diagnosing, going through the diagnosis, and I'm creating a file so that we know everything that was done to each individual unit. So we know what was replaced.
Well, that I understand. That makes sense. I guess what I was saying is you have a checklist that says when I go to an HVAC system, this is what I start with, and this is what I work through, and how to process through it. Does that make
John's
sense?
internal.
Yeah.
I know, it's his own internal. I'm just, are we writing this down somewhere so when you retire, again,
Again.
we can pass it to Al, we can say, oh, let's see, what does that mean? Yeah, that kind of thing.
My question really is, we've been ended up with a PM plan, so we know that
There you go.
each unit gets serviced on a regular basis, whatever that regular is, whatever that time frame is. Because I think we've sat here as a board, and we philosophically said, we're gonna let these things go until they're dead. But I think at the same time we said that, we never said, but we want you to keep them running as long as you can. I mean, I truly believe that once a new one got put up there, that's it. We'll see you again when we have to replace it. And that's really not a very efficient way to run
So
equipment.
you're gonna be prolonging the life of all these units by doing your quarterly maintenance on every single unit. It's just, so there's nothing, no different than a car. You gotta change your oil every so many thousand miles. Like, that's what keeps the car running clean. So it's basically the same concept here, where we're gonna have a spreadsheet where it's gonna say, okay, we do these units, and it's be rotating.
Perfect.
And so we know exactly where we're at all times with all the units. And if there is a problem, we can hopefully diagnose it early, and we end up, spending the money to fix a smaller component, cheaper component, rather than waiting. So that burns up a bigger thing like a compressor, and now we're thousands and thousands of dollars.
Right. That was a lot cheaper than an overhaul, that's for sure.
More like what do they call that? The wood.
Oh, the sawmill, the car unit on the sawmill, yeah.
Yeah, so tell us, that's gonna be on the budget or on the agenda, so tell us more about.
The BOD unit, the unit replacing that with, you guys got from RDS or you're getting from RDS.
Right, that'll be done in house. And how much did we save? I think
Over 6,000?
It was just over $6,000. That's gonna
That's just one.
And that's just one project. That's just one.
Yeah,
For
no,
example,
that's
So I'll
beneficial.
guarantee though, the other ones would probably be around at least 6,000 at least on NC2 right now. Working down there and get it in the house.
Perfect,
So
thank
do you
you.
think you guys will be able to get all of that done for our budget timeline here?
That would be ideal, yeah.
Blaine and Becca, when do you guys need to know, and BG&M, to have some recommendations that will go into the budgeting process for this next year? December?
I would say December's the ideal time, yes. That gives us a month to get things together.
Perfect.
We'll talk some numbers and
Toward the
at
end.
least get
by the end
a
of
general
December.
idea of what we're looking at price-wise and what we're spending, because we're gonna see an increase even as it is right now in operating for what we're spending on supplies,
Yeah,
because
right.
even at NC2, we spent a penny.
Yeah,
Just trying to maintain those up there. And we're at that initial point where we're at a clean slate, where unfortunately we're gonna have to rip the Band-Aid and spend a little bit of bucks in regards to get them up to where they need to be, so that we don't lose them and have a $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $70,000, estimate come in for.
I suspect if we follow through with the PM plan, that in less than 5 years, that operation will pay for itself. That's been my experience in the school business. Once you start inspecting things on a regular basis, making notes, all like animals, you can put in the same box and say, okay, we're not going to get more than X time out of these if we don't start taking care of it. So, long overdue. I'm really glad that we have the expertise to be able to look at it and say more than, yeah, that's an AC unit. Because that's kind of where we've been.
A long time.
And we've had to take someone else's word for it. A time or two we've accessed someone that one of us knew and had to come in and look at it and said, hey, you don't need to do all that, you can do less. And we've been at vendors, and I'm not being critical. We've been at vendors' mercy for some time. And because we didn't have anybody on staff that really knew what was going on, if they said, well, you need to replace a unit, we sucked it up and found dollars and replaced it. And we may have been able to fix it for 10% of that and still continue the lifespan expectancy.
I'll guarantee that would have found stuff that probably would have already happened.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate that. Looking forward to it. I know you're going to save us money.
Welcome aboard, congratulations.
Thank you.
And you said within 5 years. I think you still got about 5 years in there.
Unless we're working too hard, I ain't gonna throw those papers down, I'm telling ya.
So recovery,
Hey,
the payback. We've already got the payback.
Well, it just is in your own health too, a little preventive maintenance, you know, preventive long-term stuff, so same thing there. Great. Thanks so much, guys.
Nice to meet you. Thanks, guys. You have a great day.
Good hiring, you ladies and gentlemen. We're glad for that. Okay. Okay, let's,
You want to table that and come back to it and go to the rest? Get all the
okay,
stuff done.
yeah, all right. 1.4.c is nothing. No changes there. Consistent with the BOC guidelines.
We're going to come back to the vehicle.
Okay.
It's going to take the most discussion.
1.4.e is just something that's in the CCNRs, no change there. The visitor definition, again, instead of calling them a person, we're going to call them a non-resident. Lot caretaker, we changed the wording just a little bit, so now everything in blue is the recent changes. So it's a person appointed by the homeowner while they are away from the property for extended periods, who would be available to management as an on-site emergency contact. Age verification, no change. 3.5 by common areas, no change. The vehicles on sidewalks, we're making the exception that if they have a disabled parking permit, they can apply for an exemption to allow a golf cart to be driven on the patios or sidewalk at the neighborhood center or the town center for the sole purpose of pickup and drop off. Golf cart must not be left attended. Did not get much feedback or resistance from residents on that. I'm questioning, even though I worded this, I'm questioning about leaving the neighborhood center in there. The reason should we take it out? Should we leave it or should we take it out? Right now, I'm inclined to say just limit it to town center. And the reason for that is at NC1, there's not a lot of parking for golf carts. And it would require us to be doing something about creating more parking spaces where, and so isn't, in my mind, it's not feasible at this time to require.
Well, they're also small, they're small venues, and so if you do park, you don't have that far to walk. I see the town center, like, because you have all the clubs and they're in the back, that makes sense to do it that way, but the town centers, I'm not seeing.
And NC2's got plenty of.
They got plenty of parking.
And the extra parking space.
Yeah.
But at NC1, they end up parking in the street.
And the issue is really town center.
Yeah.
So that's just, I'm first leaving it with just town center, take the neighborhood centers out.
Marie, you agree? Like, take the neighborhood center out as the requirement right now?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else opposed to that? Now, regarding, so while we're on the topic of golf carts, one of the things, and this is really going more descriptive, we got conversation, particularly at the meeting in MC1 that we're listening, someone asked about golf carts, a gas-powered golf carts, and why would we continue to restrict them? And here's the reason why I'm strongly in favor of us continuing to restrict them. In our CCNRs, which is a higher governing document than this here, under 11.9, it specifically calls out that golf carts must be electric. 11.28 says that the board can change anything in section 11 that they want. The caveat is if we make a change to it, then if there's and we don't change the CCNRs and someone is financially impacted, they could come back at us. So if we back up in relationship to the RV port removal, we did put the cart before the horse there in that we changed the DRC guidelines and the rules to allow people to not have an RV in the RV port. Then we changed the CCNRs. If someone had been financially impacted by that, they could have sued us.
That's the board, yeah.
So if we change this now to allow gas-powered golf carts, which I'm in favor of since we allow razors and all that, but if we changed it and then we put a proposal to change the CCNRs and it did not pass by a vote of the membership, and someone had bought a gas-powered golf cart in the meantime, assuming the CCNRs would change, then we could be financially.
Or not knowing that it's in effect because they don't know. So I agree. I think we have to wait until we do the change in the CCNR first.
Right.
Then we can always come back in.
Anyone disagree with that logic?
Fine.
Okay, all right. So the smoking, vaping, no real changes. The 4.3, heard from people they wanted the dates the same, so agreed every 45 days with that to do the arrival and departure when they leave. for 45 days or longer, and if they have a caretaker, if they've been gone for more than 45 days. Under the 4.7, water conservation, we toned that down a lot because people said, number one, how are you going to monitor that? And you can't tell us what to do. And that's kind of what I heard. Taking some language from other rules and regs from other like communities, stated in the interest of desert water conservation, it is critical that each resident conserve water. Any washing of vehicles or structures on a lot should be done with a method that limits volume of water and also minimizes water flowing onto the street. The designated car wash is the preferred place for washing vehicles. So that tones it down. Okay. And then passenger vehicles should be washed. We're going to change that to no more than twice a month. Confusion as to what I meant by that.
Why is that in there? Who in the hell cares?
Well, we've got some people doing it every
Maybe you
day.
wash it once all the time you're here.
Some people are doing it weekly.
Some people are doing it daily. They're rinsing off.
I paid to have mine taken to cobblestone once a week
You do it anyway.
because that was my preference. But nobody told me that I couldn't wash it if it rained on it in the middle of the week. I don't think it's necessary. You know, what we want to do is conserve water, period.
Right.
In all cases, when you start putting numbers on that stuff, it just irritates people.
Okay. Well,
Needless.
let's go on. And are you okay with the numbers on the other one? Recreational vehicle may be detailed on the lot up to twice per year. Does that give you heartburn?
Well, it's the same issue. Responsible owners will do it when it needs it. And you couldn't mandate the ones that really need it to get done. So I guess it doesn't make any difference.
Park bottles and other buildings shall only be washed once when the owner arrives in the resort at the beginning of the season. That language is from other communities.
I would prefer it just says, shall be washed once a year.
Yeah, maybe I want to.
Mine in the spring.
Yeah.
One of the residents had mentioned that she doesn't leave.
Yeah, just leave it as once a
Well,
year.
then just once a year. Don't
Once a year. RV twice, recreational vehicle twice a year. So the heartburn, Steve, for you is the passenger vehicle saying that we're putting any limit on that?
times, just putting religious rules.
I think you tell them what you want them to hear in the first sentence. You know, we're in the desert. We need to consider that. We need to be mindful of the water that we use, period. In cars, motorhome, all of it. We need to be cognizant of the amount of water and the number of times.
That's right. That's right.
Maybe we should just take out 1, 2, 3.
Because if you think about it, you've already had up here, you have up here, the designated car wash area is a preferred place for washing vehicles.
Right. Then I don't care if they go up there every day, every half hour.
Yeah.
Okay. Marie, your thoughts? You okay
Well,
with
I
leaving
guess
out-
I have to agree. Yeah, I guess I have to agree with Steve. You know, we're supposed to be adults. The amount of, you know, it gets back to my whole theory. You know, by the time we reach this age, we're going to do what we're going to do. And the amount of signs and the amount of rules and regulations isn't going to change anybody. Even if you had that in there, they're going to do what they're going to do. I think if we just tell them, like Steve said, we're water conservation, please be responsible. That's about all you can tell, because they're going to do what they're going to do. In all honesty, and we can't monitor it. We can't monitor it, Barb. We can tell them all we want 2 times a week or 2 times a year or 2 times a decade. They're going to do what they're going to do.
So the intent was having this as a placeholder, the water conservation, the topic of water conservation as a placeholder in the event in the next few years, we might have some restrictions that are imposed
I
upon
understand
us.
that, but how much of a placeholder and how much input did we get to make to the city of Surprise when they said, we'd like to have a meeting and here are the new regulations relative to short-term rental? Bingo. They didn't give us the time of day in that process, so
So if we just leave that
hope
first
springs
paragraph
eternal.
in there. Okay, all right. Estate sales, Cindy, did you have any? State sales, the only thing we changed was per Dennis's comment that limit the times when the residential lot is being sold or the owner is vacating the property. That would be like if they're going into assisted living or
So
something.
can we
like that.
change contracted professional agencies from may not to will not bring in outside merchandise?
How about shall not?
Shall, yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
care.
Will is variable.
I'm
Must-
good.
Must and shall are required.
I think shall.
That's fine.
The only
It
thing I
should be
noticed,
required, must not.
the only thing I noticed on
Must not or
4.11
shall not.
is we're not determining if that is to be interior or exterior of the property.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
Oh,
We're essentially permitting them to be on the, well, we gotta think too, because the one that was on the property, there was an Arizona room, I believe, but if there was just a casita, it would be a vacant lot, we'd have it on the exterior of the property.
Which is, as long as it's on the property, I don't have a problem with that.
It stays on the ground.
And the thing is, don't bring in all the other stuff you got to sell from God knows how many places.
Don't bring in anything.
Yes.
only the stuff in that
stuff
property.
there.
Well, maybe that's how you word it.
So you were saying that they can bring everything from the inside, outside. You're okay with that as long as it's stuff that was inside their property, not.
Yes, that's correct.
I like that, as long as you put a restriction on how long it lasts.
2 days?
Well, the arrangements don't have to be made by the management office, and I assume you have a form that has it all spelled out.
You can have a form that has it all spelled out,
Yeah, but what is the length time? That would be a good point.
there's not one. We don't permit it now,
But
They
what
can
do you
do-
for a yard sale?
we don't.
We don't permit them.
Then the same thing.
What
But
do you mean?
that's not what you're telling me.
We're talking about letting them do it.
Oh, no, the only yard sales we permit out on the property are during yard sale,
Yes.
scheduled yard sale dates.
No, but the
An
hours.
estate sale, right now, if you decide you want to have an estate sale, it must be inside the property. We do not let anything happen on the exterior of the property as of right now. It's a
Well, how do you
yard
do
sale.
that with a shed? Somebody has like one of those.
get
They
you
don't.
item.
They don't. Okay.
Yes, I think you should let them have it outside.
I don't disagree.
And I think you should let them have it maybe 2 days, Friday, Saturday.
48 hours.
48 hours.
Between the hours of, you want to set a time?
Yeah, like 9 and 2.
Kind of,
2?
2 or 3.
Okay, something
Well,
like that.
yeah, I guess I'm thinking more garage sale like would be 8 to 1 or 8 to 2.
Yeah,
You
well,
know,
nine-
whatever
there's-
works.
And the hours can be on the form. The hours can be on the form. You guys can pick.
I think the hours.
We
should
go
be the
until
same
1
as the
o'clock, I
yard sale.
believe.
Yeah, 8 to 1.
Yeah.
If our
So if you
yard
want to
sale-
keep it consistent, the yard sale is 8 to 1.
Yeah.
And say no more than 48 hours.
Well, and this is fine, because this allows us to kind of modify that if we have an issue.
Right.
But we need to establish a policy.
Yeah, but if somebody's just doing a shed, you might want to just give them a day. If somebody's doing a 2-story house, you might want to give them 2 days.
Well, and then you want to allow people time to get there. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe somebody's gone all one.
I think it should be consistent, I don't, whether they have a 1-story or a 2-story, either give them 1 or 2 days.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
consistent, so if you're gonna give them, just give them 2 days. period.
I'll go with 2
48 hours.
days, 8 to 1.
Okay.
Well, and if size doesn't make any difference, because we all know people who can pack a casita.
Oh, yeah.
And my dad is dead. Marie, you agree with that?
Well, I heard most of it. Did you end up with the 8 to 1?
Yeah.
3 hours?
Consistent with what.
Why are we limiting it to 1 o'clock? What's the reason to limit to 1 o'clock?
It's
Well,
consistent.
and
with
anything's
the-
consistent.
Let me finish. It's consistent with what we have the yard sales. The current yard sale hours are 8 to 1. So
Yeah,
the estate sales would be the same.
okay. All right, I guess that makes sense.
All right. Excess trash. Now, again, in our CCNRs, it does talk about trash. Let me pull up CCNRs. Hello. It's gonna be in section.
On section 11?
Let's see. So trash, 11.13, no garbage or trash shall be placed or kept on any lot except in
below ground covered containers in a type, size, and style which approved in writing by the board or authorized by the association rules. The board, so there's that.
Until, may I make a suggestion? I just a thought. Until we get the proposal from the ad hoc committee and we make a decision on that, I'd rather not do this because this to me is something it's not, I don't like doing it at all, but if we had to, I can see doing it. But I don't like having garbage outside. I think once you start allowing people to put bags of trash outside, there will be no end to it. And nobody's going to just, if you have said they can put it outside, they will put as much as they want outside. As long as there's no trash outside, then they won't. So let's see what the ad hoc proposal is, whether we need this. That's just my thought.
Well, I think that's a good idea. The problem is if once we change the rules and regs in another month, we're not changing the rules and regs.
No, I see that. Yeah, that's true.
So, but my point of bringing up the CCNRs is in essence, the CCNRs says you can't do it unless we change it.
Right.
Back to the gas powered golf carts. We can change this, even though it states this in the CCNRs, because if we change it, there's no financial impact on a owner that could affect us negatively.
Correct.
Correct. So I think we can change it. I hear you about the sequencing of it as to whether it's
You
done.
jump in that door.
Well, there was a lady that said she's already done it. She has an extra little garbage can that she's put stuff in, and she's put an extra in-ground can, and Parks and Sons has picked it up and emptied it.
Actually, I know other people
Yeah.
on garbage
Yes, they
day,
do it already.
put a bag of garbage out and they'll take it.
So just don't say
Exactly,
anything
don't say
about it.
anything.
Let every people do it and it gets taken care
Oh.
of, but don't encourage it.
Well, we need a rule to say that you can do it.
Why?
You're not Italian, I can tell you that.
Why do we need a rule?
My rule, the rules have been to say you can't.
Yeah, if the rule doesn't say I can't do it, I'm probably going to do it. That's typically what everybody does.
Until we get the changes so people who are doing it can be legal.
Yeah. Well, no, if we change it, I think the rationale for changing it, other people have done it, is that it minimizes stuff that's going into the dumpster.
Well,
You think that they're not gonna change behavior? I don't.
I just,
not at all.
not having personally experienced this, I have not personally experienced the monsoons to any great degree. But I can remember water running down streets foot deep in the middle for several hundred feet. And I sure in the world don't want us to do anything that would endorse having things outside in the container which was built to withstand that. I think we're just asking for a mess. We're making it very difficult for compliance to do their job because now we have extra garbage out there. How much garbage is too much garbage? When do they get written up? We're just creating way more than the people we have hired to control it can do. In my judgment.
No, we really will address, I think, the majority of our concerns with our communications in regards to what Parks and Sons will pick up too. Because think about it, if you do a lot of your trimmings or something like that, you can call Parks and Sons and they'll come do a special pickup or something along those lines. And I know Communications Committee is working on really getting our communication honed in regards to where other things can go and what services are provided throughout, the city in general. So hopefully we'll be able to rectify that.
5.1, let's not talk about the length right now, we'll come back to that. But the only thing we changed there, instead of saying thoroughly excellent, the new CCNRs, the terminology that was used, roadworthy, like new. So what is blue is what we were putting in condition. So roadworthy like new, it gets at the issue that if their tires are flat,
then it's not roadworthy.
It has rust on it. I mean, it's really looking.
And then, that may change there. 5.2.9, because of the roadworthy, like new, and 5.2.9, too difficult for people to do that, particularly those that have the cottages and all that, we'll delete that. So there'll be no longer a requirement that have to remove it once per year. And 6.1, delete the issue about the paved stuff. Prohibited vehicles, we'll just leave it in instead of golf cart trailer, it'd be a flatbed trailer. Added the word unlicensed off-road vehicle to 6.9. Change 6.10 proposal from 3 to 4 vehicles.
We talked, didn't we have a conversation, such
And
unlicensed golf carts are allowed, so were we gonna change that?
Unlicensed
about it the other
off-road
day.
vehicles such as UTVs, side-by-side units, razors are prohibited to be stored on individual lots or driven throughout the resort.
So is this kind of not including golf
Well,
carts?
Right, because golf carts don't
Because
have to
we
be
talked about it,
licensed.
they, golf carts do not have to be. Exactly, but these are, I'm not quite sure why.
because it used to be that those others, the UTVs, side-by-sides and all that, were all unlicensed. But they're only allowing them on the property now if they are licensed. But those types of vehicles, excluding golf carts, unlicensed.
I get that, but we didn't say excluding golf carts. It just says such as UTV side-by-side units, razors.
Well, let's go back up to 6.1. Passenger cars, only passenger vehicles, including passenger vans, motorcycles, pickup trucks, or a golf cart may be parked on any lot. That would be licensed or unlicensed golf cart. Do you want us to add the words licensed or unlicensed? So we currently are allowing golf carts on there. Because we don't know whether they're licensed or not.
Okay, since it's
Not
there,
required.
then I guess we don't need it now.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
So
I
we
just
heard
didn't
from
want
people that
confusion.
well, a lot of people didn't want any restriction at all on the number of vehicles. But I think the rest of us were comfortable with a number, regardless of whether they could fit more.
What are we doing about people selling golf carts on their?
That's a different issue.
That's another issue. Okay.
I'm concerned that we have lots in the supers that have 3-car garages and just as much concrete in front of them as within the garage. They could put 6 cars. I actually know 2 places that they can put 6 vehicles and not be off of concrete driveway or in a garage. So I buy a lot like that because, for whatever reason, stupidity probably. And now you're telling me that I can't use my property to park my car on legally.
You can park 4 of your cars on there. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I bought it because I own 5 classic cars. I don't, I actually sold mine.
We'll get another.
No, well, I already have. Not classic. So I want to bring my newly acquired Mustang convertible down here. And I've got a pickup and I've got 2 golf carts and a motorcycle. That's 5. And you're telling me I got to get rid of one of them? When do you want to go to court? Before or right after I buy it?
There isn't anything.
If I haven't been told I can't do it when I buy it,
We go over
we're in trouble.
Arizona traditions. What are the rules over there?
You have to park it inside a garage.
Inside the garage.
Okay, and I can live with that. I can live with that and limits it to 2 or 3. But we have lots here that people bought because they were large enough to put their classic car on, still have a golf cart or 2. We haven't gotten to the stage I need 2 yet, but Carmen's willing to walk, so that's cool. She would rather. And then my pickup. And at one time I had a motorcycle now.
So Steve, I look at it in that it has to do, number one, with compliance people being able to see everything that's on that lot. That's one issue. We get a lot of complaints from people saying this is really starting to look like a used car lot. around. And what any one of us idea of a classic car differs. Yours is probably that it's in
There is an official,
pristine
there is
condition.
an official,
Definition.
I mean,
definition
I got a
of classic.
13-foot Shasta camper.
Look, I'll make all my neighbors happy and start buying vehicles, and I can put about
put
10
20
to
on there.
20 on mine with my RV, and I don't think anybody here is gonna like that.
Okay, I can see what Steve's trying to say.
But he's
So-
in an area that has
So
a
if he
garage.
has a garage, we can't see what's in his garage. Are we concerned about those cars in his garage if we can't see them?
So maybe we put the
Is that what you're
exception,
trying to say?
yeah.
I'm just,
No, you have a
I'm
valid
playing the
point.
devil's,
So
the devil's advocate.
maybe the exception is that phase, that area that has the garages.
I bet you they're not gonna want a bunch of cars out in front.
On their driveway? They can't park on the street.
Can't park on the street, so you have to park on the driveway. In the section that I live in, you can't park on the driveway without backing in and taking the whole slab because it's not deep enough from the
That's
garage
it,
to
yeah.
the street.
I know at least 2 residents that are affected in Sector 7 by this as well. So
What's 7? Which one's 7?
right before you're going towards
NC2.
Yeah, NC2. Thank you.
They don't have garages though.
Well, how many gas tanks do you want in there? When there's a fire, they all explode.
Eight.
Yeah, I know, that's, no.
I mean, really, then how many gas tanks are
And they
there?
fit.
They're cement.
Another reason for no gas golf carts, but beside the point.
Sue has a question.
Just a quick one, I think part of what you were saying was if you have a garage, put whatever you want in it, put 4 cars in front and you're still complying. But I think it just needs to address the fact that some places have a garage.
Well, I think too, Sue, what people are saying is that my bare lot will hold more than 4. My corner lot will hold more than 4 if I got rid of the fridge. And I hear from people that they don't want to see all those cars there.
My former lot would only hold 2.
Yeah, and yeah, we can't differentiate it, in my opinion. I think we can exclude an area that have the double wides that have garages, because we can't see in it anyways, compliance can't see in it. But I don't think that we can go and say, well, this lot can have 6 and this lot can have 4, but you can only have 2. We can't do that from a compliance standpoint or anything else. We have to have a restricted number.
And that's why 3 and 4 is a reasonable number.
And I agree,
Reasonable
4
number.
is fine.
And thinking of how this place was originally, and it was really intended just for people to be seasonal, periodic people coming by, and they have 1 car, 1 golf cart, that was it. And then as more people are down here and still working or just retired and more activities that they're doing, you can see.
So lots without garages may not have more than 4 vehicles.
Well, you just, that, or you just
I
put
think
it
just
here.
leave it the way it is, because for visible vehicles, I'm not for visible vehicles.
No, I wouldn't think.
No,
I would
no,
not put
no.
Because they're gonna
They're
they're
gonna
gonna
put
try
it in.
every way they can to hide those vehicles. And
Right,
then
right.
yeah.
Lots without garages, you're right.
Or you just say the exception is, what is that phase anyways?
Section 8.
Section 8, what's it called, the country club?
No, wait a minute, no.
No, it is.
What about where, the section right across the street here?
That's it.
That's the one.
That's still it.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, that's
still
still
it.
8? Oh, yeah, both sides.
So you just put in there, exception, section 8, garages, and you can leave it at that.
What's the exception in section 8?
It's just the outside, just outside.
No, I mean, if we leave it to 4 visible or whatever.
4 ungaraged vehicles on your lot.
Where it is, keep it? What do you're shaking your head, say it.
Well, you use the word visible and they'll find all kinds of.
Oh, I know.
In your garage, that's right.
Yeah, right. They'll be in the casita, the loft of the casita, white stuff there.
Who was the one that built
Well, then I don't
a
think
room for his car,
I
put
don't-
it in the casita?
But we didn't deny that.
Yeah, I don't think I would put, what'd you say, Marilyn? I don't think I would use that.
Marie's trying to say something.
Go ahead, Marie.
I think if you do that on section 8, that you need to stipulate that one of those vehicles or the vehicles need to be in the garage, because I don't think you can have more than anybody else showing on the outside. The fact that you have a garage means that you can put some of your vehicles inside the garage and not sitting out. I think the whole point of limiting it to 4 is because of the view. So if you have more than 4, then the excess can go inside the garage. So if we're going to reword that, then the excess of 4 needs to be inside the garage. That's my, sorry about the noise.
It's okay. Okay.
You might have something.
I think that convolutes it quite a bit.
There's a lot over there that you could put 4 cars on.
I can't
I don't know.
Where?
In section A.
With a motorcycle and a golf cart.
There isn't there, but there is there and up there.
Yeah, most of them have shallow.
Jack Baker has a 3-car garage and a concrete pad just as large in the front of it that would accommodate 3 more cars. So he could have, theoretically, he could have 6 cars. You could only see 3 of them.
The problem I see with that is there are other lots throughout this entire resort that will accommodate more than 4 cars.
Yes.
And that's the challenge, is that if you're going to do it to one, you have to do it to all. So I think it really needs to be consistent one way or another. I'm not saying that I have an input on what the consistency, that's unfortunately your job. But I think that it has to be consistent throughout the entire resort, because if you pick out this one, pick out that one to say this is different than this section, it gets so convoluted. And even the regulations of trying to get someone to understand that is very complicated. There's a lot of time spent in the DRC office that even just looking at the design guidelines, well, this section can have this and this section can have this. It's a lot, you know, it's a lot for a lot of us.
I think a guy that dresses in a couch can explain that to anyone.
Well, I was just commenting, Mike, saying that there is lots that you can have more than 4 cars on.
Yeah.
I have a lot, I could have 5 on one. That's kind of beside the point. I think it should be
Consistent across the board.
Yeah, and my feeling is if you want more cars than that, buy a house in section 8. Or buy another lot.
Or move.
Or move. I mean, it's like.
Sorry, I'm just saying. I mean, those are your options. I'm not being mean.
That's it.
On-site storage.
We have on-site storage.
When you bought in here, you knew you were buying less than 5 acres that I have up north.
That brings up the next one. We have, Mike and I know of at least one person, maybe more, who went to DRC 12 years ago or 10 years ago before they bought their lot. And unfortunately, we're told, we don't care how many cars you have on that lot. It's a huge lot.
I know which
And they
one.
bought the lot.
Yeah.
Based upon that information from an individual who no longer works for us and hasn't for some time. And his name would have been Jack something, but I can't remember his last name. Instead of, there we go.
Wink, wink,
So
nod, nod. Oh,
yeah,
mistake.
the old wink, wink, nod, nod thing, and I hate being in a position where we have to pay for it.
Well, I don't think we are.
It
just
never
drank
stated
it.
anything that there was a minimum or maximum. It was completely silent. The assumption was, back to assuming, the assumption was that people were here for very short-term periods, and they were just gonna have their RV on it, maybe towing a car and a golf cart or something along that line, and that was it.
But if you want to get to the legal aspect, and I see where you're going, but you have to go back to the CCNRs. What do the CCNRs say? They don't, but what they do say is that the board has the right to make rules and regulations and can change those rules and regulations, and there's no stipulation on there that says we have to grandfather anybody in. We don't have to do any of that. And we change or make rules and regulations, as far as I'm concerned, based on the needs of the community and the changing of times. At that time, maybe 8 cars on his lot was fine because it wasn't as congested. Now it's more congested, so 8 cars are probably not conducive because we have so many vehicles in here.
And I don't disagree.
Right, I'm just saying, but that's how we protect ourselves in the court of law. And I would say Curtis would tell you that's exactly right. The CCNRs clearly state the board has the right. Now, we can change these rules and regs, and if we get a new board in here in 3 years, they might come back and rechange them and alter them, but they have the right to do that.
11.9 of the vehicles doesn't say anything
no boats or trailers shall be parked or stored on the property except in designated storage areas and egress for loading and unloading. No motor vehicles may operate on the property by anyone other than a properly licensed person. That's why we keep giving out to don't let those kids drive your golf cart. No golf cart, and that has to be electric and so on and so forth. Doesn't say anything at all about the limit. So, I mean, I'm very cautious when it comes to potential litigation, because that's our role, is to decrease
But
potential
he didn't get
costs.
anything in writing. This was, as you said, it was a good old boy handshake, wink, wink, nod, nod. And that's what they did. I know you were way before my time, and that's what they did. But things have changed in those years that now we are looking at limitations, and it's going to affect them.
And also looking at the size of the vehicles. Think of 30 years ago, how big was your truck?
Bigger than it is now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, pickup trucks were.
But pickup trucks versus now, we've got the half-ton vehicles with the hitch that's out there that's extending out and that kind of stuff.
So
Just even my SUV I bought, same model 5 years ago, was 5 inches shorter.
But passenger cars today are smaller than they were 30 years ago.
However, the park is bigger than it was 30 years ago, and you have a lot more traffic on these small roads than you used to have.
And I don't
That's another good
dispute
reason
any
for
of those issues, but if 20 years ago I purchased a piece of property here because I could keep my 4 cars and a motorcycle on, and now you tell me I can't?
Because there's too many cars now.
But that's, okay, let me just, I'm not an attorney, but let me just state this. If we don't have anything in writing, that's one story, but we don't, or that's one thing, but we don't know for sure that there's nothing in writing. The owner may have something in writing. And if he does,
That's
if he wants to sue us, then we may or may not win. It's gonna depend on the judge, and I can tell you right now, most judges do not like HOAs. But if he doesn't have anything in writing, that's a different story, but we don't know for sure that.
But if he has something in writing, then we give him a variance.
But you're saying you don't wanna do that. So you're gonna.
I don't want to do that. If you're saying that he comes in and says, I've got this written document, which we know nothing of, we don't know what we don't know. We know nothing of, and we're making rules and regulations. If he comes in and says that, then that's a point where you go, okay, he could sue the association, in which case we can grandfather him in or give him a variance, which has to be relooked at every year, however you want to do it. We can mitigate that. But to hold up the entire association or change for one guy.
No, I'm not saying that.
I know you're not.
We need to be careful. Yes. Because we don't know what that particular male or female, whoever that is. We don't know what that owner has in writing. So you need to be careful though. They may come back and say, look at this right here. I got permission 20 years ago, and why all of a sudden you're trying to change it?
I'm gonna move forward.
He may have
Go down to 7.7. What if that same person was told that you could do all your repairs on your lot? He might have been told that years ago, before this is not new, that's in here, but before this got in here, the original rules and regs that he came in on could have said you can do all your repairs on your lot. That might have occurred too.
Well, especially if they were dirt lots.
But repairs are different than having an actual.
No, my point is, he might have been told he could do that.
Right.
Yeah.
And now he can't.
Now he can't.
Well, he was probably allowed to smoke in the buildings too, but now you can't.
Right.
So, well, no, within reason, but I'm just saying, this is private property. We don't necessarily have to follow by that.
But I'm just saying we can't assume that someone doesn't have something in writing. Just smoke in the corner and carry it.
I guess we just need to be mindful that there are people here who have been here probably longer than all of us under a different circumstance, and we need to at least be aware of it, because I suspect that we will be addressed with either a request for a variance or a piece of paper that says, when I bought, this is what they told me.
Yeah. And that's very valid. I think we have to be aware that can happen.
If that happened, we're hard pressed to.
Well, I think if that happens,
switch.
that we need to come up with what's our consistent answer going to be.
Yeah.
That we treat everybody the same who brings that forward.
If it's in writing, it will be considered. It just has to be an understanding.
And And I can live with that.
I wouldn't put that
Because
in here,
remember-
I'm just saying
remember
that's an
that
understanding with all of us.
It's the quiet enjoyment of the community and the protecting their property value.
Needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
That their property values are deteriorating because it's looking like used car lots.
Yeah, you don't want it to be a
And you
campground.
do want to keep some of the
Like you say,
congestion
but
down.
Yeah, there is.
You do, you want to keep some of that down. If you
Well,
don't,
my question would be, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, aren't they supposed to be all in working order? That's the next question.
Well,
Light transportation vehicle, well, they shouldn't be inoperable.
Right.
So your recreational vehicle has different terms.
No, I know recreational vehicle, but we're talking passenger vehicles.
Visually, there's not any kind of thing that they have to obtain to, but it has to be an operating.
And they have to be licensed. and
Well, if
registered,
it's up on
don't they?
blocks and has a blue tarp over it, then yeah, and we're not. going
So
to-
they have to be licensed and registered as well.
Yeah, but
Yeah, they do.
if you're gonna have 8 that are licensed and registered.
Like that, yeah.
I didn't
I'm
get
still
much
staying with the 4.
pushback from the residents when we talked about this.
there was.
Other than
There
the 3,
was a
there was,
couple,
if they
but there
wanted
wasn't a
4.
whole lot.
If they
4
were
is
pushed
fine.
back to the 3,
I think
but 4 was, sounded like it was.
we do have some of these, we'll have to.
We'll have to deal with them when they come.
On an
I don't
individual
think they have
basis.
anything in writing.
The 7.6 was just something that came from safety committee. 7.7 is no change in reality, it's just clarifying some current practice. 7.9, we just added that off-road vehicles can be stored in the storage area. It's been able, but we've never had that in writing before, so it's no substantive change. 10.4 is no substantive change. 10.6 is no substantive change, just wording. 10.8 is just consistent with the DRC guidelines. The pool hours, people were fine with the hours, other than we added the exception, residents may use town center pool beginning at 5 a.m. for organized water exercise classes and lap swimming. That's fine. The children in the pool, some people wanted us to change it, other people didn't. We left it that children are only allowed in the town center pool.
Yeah, I think most people agreed with that.
The 11.11 is just being consistent with Maricopa County regulations. 11.13, we got both on it in that a lot of people said, keep it the way it was, the headphones and earbuds. Well, if we do that, then we just need to make sure our signage is consistent. Apparently I heard that the signage at the pool.
We need to change it once we do that.
Yeah.
May I ask a question? If you wanted to have some kind of a social function at one of the neighborhood pools, can you reserve that pool?
Mhm.
So there are opportunities to, can you reserve a pool?
I
I
believe,
don't believe so. You can reserve the building, but not the pool.
But not the pool.
right, okay.
Because we wouldn't close it for the rest of the residents in regard for.
Correct,
residents.
because I would be starting to get angry when it's scheduled out all the time, so would everybody else.
Right, so like NC1, you can reserve the outside area and the building, but you can't reserve the pool part.
Okay.
Yes, can use the pool part, but they'll be intermingled with the residents.
There's a big trouble with this audio equipment in the pool areas, and I'll say primarily in NC2. This is a frequent concern and complaint from NC2. I hear about it very, very frequently. I mean, a week ago, we got an email, maybe not even a week ago, we got an email in regards to this issue. And folks being rude to each other about music in this location.
Can we not take an enforcement action that would help strengthen that rule, or do we need to just get rid of it?
The challenge is that when patrol is contacted, say at 7 o'clock, and folks have been drinking down there at NC2, and patrol shows up, and someone's not wearing their earbuds, but the music's down low, but someone's upset that it's happening. Well, what really do you do? You know what I mean? You ask them to turn the music okay. We end up mediating more than anything else down there. And ultimately, it's kind of silly, I'll be frank with you, in regards to having an earbud in a pool. I don't think I've ever seen anyone with an actual AirPods in the pool. I wouldn't take my AirPods in the pool.
Probably
That's crazy. And I'm just saying that from my perspective of music. I'm not saying that the music couldn't be excessive, because somebody will show up and crank their music way too loud, and it's disrespectful. Sure, we should be called in those instances to say, we'll come down and patrol and please turn your music down. This isn't respectable. But I think that the AirPods and I'm sure if you're tanning there, it's fantastic. But swimming in the pool, I don't know that anyone's wearing earbuds.
But do they have the music over in the pool?
Yes.
On their little speakers?
Speaker or their
My phone.
They put their phone
My
in
phone
the
will
pool
project
right
it.
there, and they're you'll see like little,
Clusters.
yeah, there you go, clusters, of groups that are in the pool area. These folks will hang out, these folks will hang out. These folks will have a little bit of music on.
But what I heard is that people wanted it during the season to be the headphones, earbuds only.
In the pool area.
In the pool area.
Yeah.
And that some people, that was one, that felt that during the summer, we could relax those rules
Sure.
because there aren't that many people around. So,
And again, a lot of the times, and again, NC2 only, a lot of the complaints that come down there are specifically because there's a sign that says you can't do that.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Okay,
you can't do that.
there is that.
Have the music out.
My experience down there in the summer is if someone has a problem, you turn it down, it gets turned down. They don't like the genre that's being played, you play something else, they're complied with. A lot of people, and we usually come down late, so I don't run into this a lot, but people have come down there and said, do you anybody mind if I do this? So during that time of year, it's a lot smaller crowd. You don't have all the sunbathing because nobody's out there 115 degrees unless they want to get cancer. They're all in the pool. And earbuds, headphones, just don't cut it.
Yeah.
Low level music,
I can go with
it
seasonal.
just doesn't seem to be a problem that time of year.
I can go with seasonal. That'll be
it's seasonal help.
I'm sure.
So during the season, it's earbuds, headphones only.
In the pool area?
In the pool area, during the season. Except the organized.
I mean, I know what's gonna happen. I mean, somebody's gonna go down there with their phone and say, do you mind if I play this? It's gonna be in season. Everybody say, no, it's fine. And it'll be on low and it'll be fine. The next day, somebody else will go down there and want to play their music, and somebody else will say, no, I don't want to hear it. And then it's not. And that's where you run into problems. But if you do have the regulation there, and if I've asked and everybody said it was okay, fine, but you know.
The challenge is back to the prior conversation, just like water. It's happening.
It's already happening.
Right. Marie, your thoughts on earbuds, headphones?
I'd say leave it the way it is. I agree with the gentleman that I can't see, but during the summer, they play it really, really soft. They ask everybody around them if it's okay, and we all say, yeah, it's okay, because it's so soft. You all you have to do is swim to the other side. You don't even hear it. People that it bothers, that they're reading or whatever, leave it the way it is. And that way they've got some excuse to say that's a.
We'll leave it then that earbuds, headphones during the season, during the summer, reasonable volume. So it's not just.
Yeah.
Be respectful of your neighbors.
In the summer, be respectful. I like that.
Exercise thing.
Of
Other
course.
than that,
Other than it organized, right?
otherwise, I can't remember what I was supposed to do.
Right.
Anyway.
Vaping, smoking, didn't get any pushback on that. Signs, didn't get any pushback. The only thing that people were concerned about were the for sale signs. And that's a whole different section that still allows it. Political signs, I didn't hear any pushback on that at all.
I think they were actually quite happy.
And the flags, we need to make sure that we attach the list of all of
The
them.
list of the
What
flags.
are we gonna do with that flag that you come in the park?
It's gone already.
Gone.
You did?
It's got an Oregon sign.
Yeah, Oregon, right now.
No, that'll have to come down.
That'll have to come down, but yeah.
Okay, good for you guys.
Now, that one would fall under, look at 12.10. This last sentence, Happy Trails Board of Directors reserves the right to enforce any banner or garden flag that may be offensive or unsightly. Well, in my mind, the offensive is if we get complaints from residents, which we did. Okay. On that one. So that's regardless of whether, and that's where I think it would occur. So I think we'll leave those in there, the 12.5, the delineation, harassment. Marilyn, I added the word intimidated in there from your comment about the definition of harassment. And then added as to, so it says, boards required to take action on harassment is directed towards any member of a protected class as defined by federal law. Okay.
So then we have to go back
Let's
to.
go back to recreational vehicles. What we need to agree on is 1.4.b and 5.1. 5.1 is, we all agreed on the roadworthy. The only thing we would need to change there is if we agree on the length. So, so what I'm hearing is that many of you are comfortable with it being anything with us shortening it, anything. So it's a self-contained unit, whether it's a motor home or a travel trailer, to something less than 24 feet. Is that what I'm hearing?
I'm good with that. Stated that many times.
My
Provided
concern
it's
is
in
the
a
50/50
habitable
of
place.
the people saying they don't want it turned into a campground. And I personally think that an 18-foot travel trailer is gonna make it look like a campground.
Well, I've been in some pretty darn nice 18-foot units.
So you're gonna use it.
Probably nicer than
Yeah.
the first
Okay.
35 footer
18
that
or
I brought
20.
here.
And here's what I see. I may be wrong. I see the person with the 18-footer backing it all the way to the back of the RV port, and they're going to put their vehicles in front of it. That's what I see happening.
Absolutely.
So that's where I don't see it being a campground look-alike in that
So
aspect.
would you be comfortable, would you still agree that it is okay that an 18-footer must occupy an RV port on
Yes.
a lot with a habitable structure?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I've said that from the get-go. From an
Yes.
aesthetic standpoint, yes.
Marie? That change the.
I'm fine with that.
With change the 18-footer, it's okay to have an 18-foot travel trailer self-contained on a lot with a habitable structure.
With a habitable structure.
And a casita is not a habitable structure. Cindy?
Is that okay?
Any heartburn?
Define a habitable structure.
Has to be a habitable, it can't be a casita with just a,
Has to have its own bedroom, bathroom, living room.
and cooking, has to have cooking. So that's the cooking was a big.
And
Kitchen.
And unless they change the rule, it also has to have a permit indicating that from the city.
City of Florence.
Yeah, essentially, that's.
So that'll
that's the sticky
that'll
part,
take care of the casitas that have the little refrigerator and some
Oh, yeah.
cooking
Yeah.
stuff in it,
Yep.
and the bedroom upstairs that they're not supposed to
Yeah,
have.
that's not legal.
Right.
Okay, got it. So okay.
Well, we'll use the habitable definition that we've gotten.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. All right.
We only
So
have one
then-
within
So
5.
then the only thing that we would do is under 5.1, we would leave the 18-footer in never.
So you'll take out this
So
exception.
I have a question though. Is there a reason why we say over 45 feet? Because there's no RVs over 45 feet.
They were
That's been in there
48.
forever.
No, 45 is the
45?
max.
Okay.
That's
good.
by DOT.
But
is what
but
max.
that's been in there forever.
It is.
Let's just leave it.
Okay, I'm just saying, to me, it's kind of silly because it's redundant in that aspect.
Well, what does it say in the state of Arizona? I heard a rumor, someone told me this is a fact, maybe a rumor, that in California, you can't drive an RV over 40 feet.
Not true.
Is it
45.
Is it 45?
And total length of everything cannot be over 60.
60. So if you're, whatever you're towing behind you have to make.
Who wants to tow?
You would be a.
Well, not a tow, that's your,
I know, I mean, a
vehicle
I
and
know.
your tow.
Well, a truck is 20 foot. Our truck is 20 feet. So if I have a 45 foot,
Yeah, we support both.
Yeah, because you don't have to count the 5 feet behind the hitch, because it's part of the
Like
truck.
Montana allows up to 80.
oh, some of them do tandem. Fifth wheel, the truck, the fifth wheel, the boat.
Or
States.
truck, fifth wheel,
There's
trailer.
not enough dedication.
Well,
on the road.
Yeah, truck for left.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if I could even do an 18.
I used to pull
I'm not
boat
doing
behind
full
my
adult.
dad's
I'm
truck.
not backing it up.
Yeah, I didn't even pull my horse.
That's why I don't like a travel trailer.
Okay, so then this would be, the wording would change, the vehicle not less than 18 feet, but no more with or without its.
Not with the
motor
tongue,
power
no tongue.
Habitable structure.
That are self-contained,
A self-contained.
so it's self-contained and designed to provide temporary living structures. And then it would say, I'll leave out the word exception, but add the words may occupy an RV port on a habitable.
Yes.
But does it fall into the 10-year rule too?
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yes.
Oh,
yes.
Anything like that will have to be reviewed. We have a lot that are over 10, but what happens now is pictures and someone here who has expertise in that. Okay, I don't see any other
changes in that, so that I'll make those changes and we'll submit it to you for the board packet.
Are we defining the length of the recreational vehicle and how we're measuring it? Did I miss that?
Yeah, from bumper to, without the,
But we have that currently in the rules.
I think
don't we?
that's in there
It is
currently.
currently in there.
It's
Just
currently in the
continue-
rule. I would consider
continue
leaving
those.
it in.
I agree.
We want to take the tongue off.
Bumper
You
to
can
bumper?
include, it's got to be
Yes.
bumper to bumper, not including
No,
the
hold on
tongue.
a second. Let me find
But
that.
there's got to be something legally written somewhere about the length of it, because if you start saying that so-and-so measured it, that's never going to work.
Well, what you do is you have Amy go out and measure it.
Yeah,
We've
but
got
the
wheelers.
reality
Who
is-
does wheels? Compliance, Amy. They've got a
We
wheel.
might have to. I think that the challenge,
Where it is.
the amendment speaks to what it states on the registration, but we failed to find out that the registration doesn't state
I
the
thought
length of the record.
one of those papers, I'm sure, does something.
It depends on the state.
Which states.
This, yeah, well, and the
What's on the
next,
registration?
the next issue is that each manufacturer defines their length off of a different parameter.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no standard.
I
It's,
think that's why it depends on the registration.
Well, in the, as I said, in the state of Washington, where the Washington state varies, you get a lower rate if your vehicle is 14 feet or under, and they will actually measure with one of those little ruler things on it.
wheel.
I think the reality is if we're questioning it, we gotta get out there with a wheel and measure it
That's
out.
correct. And there's a couple out there. I know we've let them go right now because we're waiting on the
Can
rules.
we just say bumper to bumper? I mean, we've got to put something in here.
I'm looking for what it said before, and I can't.
Well, I
find
think it says no more than 24 feet excluding tongue
It's,
on the
No.
I have it
trailers.
right, I have the design guidelines.
Yeah, because I can't, I know it was in red, it was at the end of something.
It says living, it's the actual living quarters to the recreational vehicle excluding any tongues, bumpers, draw hitches, ladder racks, tire racks, it goes on and on and on.
Adding words.
Okay, here it is, recreational vehicles. The length of the recreational vehicle is defined as the overall exterior actual measured distance between the rear of the unit to the front of the unit. This excludes the bumpers, hitch, drawbar, any ladders, spare tire, propane tanks, and any aftermarket attachments.
Well, now that brings up a good, you're gonna hate me for asking
It
this.
says that actually measures the actual.
Yeah, the length of the recreational vehicle unit is defined as the overall exterior actual measured
Actual measure, which gives us
distance
permission
between
to
the
do the
rear of the
measurement.
unit to the front of the unit.
Okay.
With the actual measurement. gives
Okay,
us
so it's not
permission to do
talking living space then. Because otherwise you'd find we've got some problems with some of the toy haulers that are very small.
Oh, true.
You know, that's not
Living quarters.
correct. Correct.
Well, but even for
They usually have a bed.
the class A.
Well, they do events, yeah, drop down beds, yeah.
Well, they drop, yeah.
It's their
They drop
couches or
beds.
whatever.
No,
yeah.
that's- that should cover it.
Anyways, yeah, so we're good.
Let's move on. So we talked about the sawmill air conditioning that they mentioned, that they'll be bringing us for our board agenda. And in essence, that they're gonna have to replace it, but what, between John and Al and me, we found a good cheaper unit to go in.
No, the labor
Not a
aspect.
No, that's the cost for us installing. The unit itself for purchase is just 6,100 or 6,600. We'll have that on the books for you guys.
So they're gonna cut the cost in half of labor
Yeah.
rather than have
And then
somebody
there's
else.
going to be a request that came through from Sawmill to BG&M, of this extension to a shed in the sawmill. You saw that, right? Is there anything that we need to know about that or any concern for us?
They're even hauling the pieces of wood that are left to the dump
Nice,
at
thank
their
you.
expense.
Okay. So let's, want to give us an update on your ad hoc committee regarding the dumpsters?
These airplanes.
It's been, we've met 3 times. There are 33 people on the committee. And when I talked to Bill Powell yesterday, he said, kind of like herding cats. I said, yeah, cats might be easier. But they've all had a common purpose. They don't have a specific end yet, but they have, if we're going to do garbage of any kind, way, shape, or form, it has to be monitored. Can't just let people go out there whenever they want and throw crap all over the place, because that's what's happened for the last 20 years, and it isn't going to get better without direction. So I know that the final proposal will talk about monitoring. It will talk about limiting hours and times and locking gates. It will talk about cameras close enough to where the monitor is to be able to identify vehicles. And Mike tells us that his camera system is able to go back to any day during the given period of time and identify the vehicle and or the operator of the vehicle.
If they're in the right location.
Well, they need to be
They
the
are-
right,
So
they
we
need to be the right
change,
location.
yeah, we need to change some
Yeah,
cameras
absolutely.
and take pictures of them when they come through. If we change this, they have to be able to take a picture of them when they come through the gate. And they are going to have to get used to saying, those materials go in that bin, those materials go in that bin. Because it
Are you
doesn't work.
suggesting that there would be employees versus volunteers?
They will not, I think, they have recommended so far that we have a paid person, but that we have at least one volunteer there to help. In conversation with Budget Committee Chairman Powell yesterday, he said, it's just part of operations. Don't panic about money, plus or minus. So that's the way that committee has gone forward. There will, I think, be on Thursday afternoon a formal proposal that will be ready for BGM and then the board.
Do you think there will be a proposal ready for the board meeting this
Yes.
November?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now,
And the recommendation of the committee will be that whatever comes out of the proposal final, I have a pretty good idea what it's going to be. I think that be for a trial period not to exceed 6 months.
okay. All right. All right. So, are there some things that regardless that, that we could change or should change? What I'm thinking in particular is putting locks on the building.
Oh, yeah. That's it.
Regardless of whether anything occurs. because
All of
we've
that
got
will
so
be in
many-
conjunction with it.
And Chef Peters.
That absolutely needs to occur, because if we in fact adopted in whole the budget committee's proposal, the villa canisters or dumpsters inside of the cyclone fence would be full in 10 minutes.
Right.
So we have to be able to do that regardless of what we do.
You have to do that same thing with NC1.
So
Yes,
the
we're talking
suggestion-
about using something smaller than a dumpster and having maintenance take the afters of a party or a get together in a different kind of a cylinder up and put it in the trash if we have trash.
Do we need a trash can at NC1?
Because if they have a gathering there,
They have parties there, then we have pizza. I've been to a pizza party there. And sure enough, yeah, just somewhere.
Well,
it's-
just like the
I guess I would say that there was no one there might have been one or two at the beginning who thought that we should just eliminate it and forget it, but the rest of them ultimately said we can't let 5 to 7% of the population destroy what should be and has been a pretty good thing for most residents, and that we need to control that behavior, and you can't do it without a monitor. You can't do it without a gate that is lockable and is monitored, and that we select the times that it's going to be open.
And are you addressing both
Yeah.
stuff so we know,
We
sofas in
have
there and?
we have a great list that we will forward to communications of every organization in the valley that will come pick up furniture, appliances, electronics. There needs to be signage at the point of entry up there that says these items are not allowed, and list a variety of things. You know, we've just accepted the fact that people will do what they'll do. And you're probably right, Marie. I've used that phrase more than once. But I think that we have an opportunity if we choose to do it, you know, because this is simply a recommendation from that ad hoc committee. And I did not narrow down the number of people in the committee. If they had enough interest to fill out the application form, they were invited to come take part in that discussion.
Well, I think that, you know, if there's the concern, you know, should be limited, but at the same token, this is a pretty contentious, topic. And having 33 people as representatives from the community, I think sounds good versus if we limited it to 5. You know, that this is certainly not the voice of the community, but it's.
For the most part, it was not contentious. People had very good suggestions. We had an individual or two who made an attempt to control the meeting, but I think we addressed that pretty efficiently. I'm not sure that I had the ability to tell him to go to, you know, where and have him look forward to the trip, but I was fairly close.
So, the concern that I felt I heard, from Parks and Sons was that if we got rid of it, the dumpsters, that they're making them.
They're making their money on the dumpsters,
They're
not
making
the
their money
trash
on the
pickup
dumpsters.
at the RINs.
And that there's the risk, veiled threat, that sounds harsh.
They make their
know,
money based on tonnage.
It was a warning.
It was a warning that they've been really generous with us on our in-ground, and if we got rid of the others, that might increase.
And talking to Bill Powell yesterday, one of the things that he reminded me of again was, I'm not sure that we anticipated the board would approve what we presented, but I was pretty sure that that would cause some discussion. I said, well, you were accurate about that discussion. And I think that discussion has brought to the front the need for us to be respondent to the majority of the residents, not the fact that we got 5% who wouldn't follow a rule if it were bit them in the butt.
Well, I think even the Lord had a problem with those 10 commandments too.
So you'll have a recommendation long before the board meeting. I would guess the recommendation will probably be ready this week.
So do you think too that, well, down the line, that we might be entertaining a proposal from Parks and Sons regarding bulk removal or anything like that, and or this?
Well, that's existing now.
Okay.
Parks and Sons, and we're putting together the language in regards to what goes out on Neighbor Network and what we're looking to provide. The discussion this morning during the ad hoc committee was providing the communication, if this is the direction we decide to go, keeping this facility open, providing the documentation to the folks at the gate, you know, as they're coming through, providing the pamphlet and saying, hey, this is where you can take your other stuff that you can't, you know, dump here, or having the communications committee, making sure we're updating those lists as frequently as we possibly can, because some of our documentation is you know, prior to COVID, and some stuff has changed since then.
And we have addresses now for cardboard recycling that's not very far away. We now have access to disposal of items that can't be taken at any other time, twice a year. The city of Surprise will come to your doorstep and pick them up. That was new news to a lot of people.
Even though we're private land?
Yes. Right. So all of those things will be incorporated with whatever kind of a brochure we end up with, regardless of whether we pick up trash or have it left there or we come up with some alternative. The residents all still need that information because they can get rid of paint, they can get rid of computers, they can get rid of batteries, all of those things that we can't take. And people, out of the goodness of their heart, think that they're doing us a favor by setting it by the garbage can and their dumpster instead of putting it in it. Some of the reasons for the monitoring are, you know, when the cans get filled and you put the lids down, you can lock the gate, walk away, full. put a sign out there, full, done. Right?
But then we need a healthy fine for the guy or gal that drops their garbage off right by the gate.
As we talk to other people that have gone through this, in this state and in others, their first fine exceeds $100.
I think that's absolutely right.
State of Washington, Kitsap County, it's $500,
Yes.
$513 for illegal dumping.
I think that's great.
I would make it sizable.
It needs to be significant enough that it hurts. And I say that in a positive way from our perspective. This behavior cannot continue. And if it does, whether it costs us money or saves us money, we'd have to stop. I mean, if we can't change the behavior, then
Dumpsters are gonna have to go.
then that's it. I mean, we've done everything at that juncture. They may be able, residents may be able to criticize that, but they can't criticize us for not listening to them, not making an attempt to make it right. And if we can't fix it with all of those kinds of things, then they deserve to have the garbage gone, and we'll figure out how to do whatever else we
We'll
need.
do like other subdivisions
Well,
do.
they haven't really paid attention before. We've had them
Well,
meetings.
it's a 25-year plus problem that has perpetuated itself, and
We haven't any teeth.
no one has finally, ultimately said, this foolishness needs to stop, and we need to take a look at what we're doing.
Well, the good news is they have paid attention now. They know that it's gonna go away.
Yeah.
Because they know it almost went away.
The first two meetings, we not only had the 32 people that were part of the committee, but we had at least 50 in the audience.
But the issue now they recognize that we're serious.
I hope
Because
so.
we see it on Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
Pictures posted, listen, ladies and gentlemen, this is what they're talking about. So, I mean,
Lots
they're
of
getting
questions
riled up
written at different
themselves.
times.
Yeah, exactly. I think being able to say to people, this is where you can take this, and this is where you go, and it might cost you money, but it's worth it.
Yeah, the board really, I believe that the committee is a great committee, and there's 30+ members. I think that's good that you've had that many, because you have a lot of feedback. And I believe that the proposal that they're gonna submit is gonna be a great proposal. And as board members, you really need to look at that. Remember, you asked that this committee be established. So you really need to look at what they have to say and really base your opinion on what they've told us.
With that, I want to bring up CCNR 11.13. So still in the 11, gives us a right to change, but it does talk about trash containers and collecting proper maintenance. The board, so I already talked about the below ground. The board shall have it at its right in its sole discretion to require all owners to subscribe to a trash service, in which the event the cost of such service may be billed to the association as a common expense, or separately to lot owners as the board deems most efficient or desirable. Each owner is responsible for removal of bottom loads and rates, that kind of stuff. So that gives us the right to change things. Now, it may also mean that, we have to have in-ground paid for by us, but the cost for we may be able to change, and I've asked Darlene to talk to Curtis about this, the whole cost of trash, that line item for trash, maybe we can do it just like we do sewer and stormwater, and it'd be a pass-through. So if the costs go up.
Well,
Yeah, but I'm not gonna wanna have to have a pass-through for dumpsters.
No, right, but it's like.
But I would go with in-ground.
So it's just, I want people to bring attention to the CCNRs, and as we look at things, look to see what we might have some flexibility in and what we don't. I'm with you.
One of the discussions that the committee had that was very lengthy is that it doesn't really matter what mode of removal the garbage comes in. The tonnage is going to be very close to the same, whether it's put in a separate can outside of your in-ground dumpster, or whether it's taken there, or whether it's a combination of the amount of trash generated per person hasn't gotten less over the past years.
25% in 2 years.
I don't know that
it's
I
not
agree
going to
with
get
that.
less.
The volume's gone up.
I really don't know that I agree with that, because I think after 20, not that, I'm saying I don't agree with your analysis, only because I think it's been utilized, abused is the word, because we do have contractors going back there and dropping
Okay,
stuff.
and that's a
Okay,
whole separate
and we
topic.
do have owners that take their construction stuff and put it back there when they could call a dumpster and put it on their lot and pay for it themselves.
We have,
You know, so those kind of things, that's what I'm saying is so.
that committee has made the
So if you-
recommendation to DRC that they require
I got it.
a roll.
I got it, and that would be wonderful, but I'm just saying, I see where they're saying, but I don't agree with that.
Well,
They're trying to
all I'm looking
justify.
at is the pounds and the dollars have gone up. So they're not gonna go down.
No, they're not gonna go
They're gonna remain fairly constant.
for the hall and for the dumps.
May I ask a question? Are we saying that when you apply for a remodel, no, because we don't do anything with the index, or so do we?
With the what?
Permit wise?
Permit wise.
Correct.
So if someone's remodeling inside, we cannot say to them, you have to, in order to remodel on any part of your unit, can we require them to have a roll up?
But when the tenant's down there at that gate and they roll down with all that stuff from their house, then we can tell them. Absolutely not. You can either have a dumpster on your lot for your remodel, or your vendor can get a dump trailer and take it on out of here.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point. Thanks.
But you're right.
It'd be nice
The
if we
language
could,
would be, you
it'd be
know,
nice if we could say any remodeling will require you to have a rolling garage
Authorization.
on the site.
Yes.
That would be very nice.
That would make it much simpler and easier.
Rather than requiring a dumpster, you could say, put in there, and not dispose of any of your material.
and ironically,
Figure out a different
that's
way to do it.
existing. That's within our design guidelines as we speak now.
Again, that's one of
It's
those
just not
30-some-year-old
Well, I do think,
habits that have been developed.
well, 30 years ago, people weren't doing as much remodeling as they are now.
That's true.
That's
You
true.
know, and they, yeah.
But
so
I
when it
remember
needed-
the first permit I got, and it was a while ago, because it was Jack. Rick wasn't working there yet, so it was just Jack. And I said, what do I need a permit for? And he said, anything you do outside of my site.
Right.
That was the answer we got from DRC.
Well, that's pretty much
15
it
years
is now. Yeah.
Or less.
Some people got that answer, others of us did not.
And I was gonna say, it depended upon who you know and how well you knew them. Because if you knew the right person, it was considered being done inside and you didn't need a permit.
Marie, do you have any comments about Steve's discussion on the dumpster group? Yeah.
I don't know if she can hear it.
She was asleep.
Hold on. She sees it.
Can't she do it on her end?
Yeah, she has to.
And you can tell, no.
No, she's moving.
She's not finding it.
St. Martin, do they speak
Do we have a
French?
liberator? Do we have a liberator in here?
Yeah, that's okay.
We do have some ladies.
Yeah, I just, I only was there a short period.
She can't get it off.
I guess not.
I've been there before.
Well, send us your comments. Marie, when are you coming back?
She can't talk.
Answer you.
Can't talk.
She
She's
Sign
muted.
language?
I think she come, can I
Two
say
days.
2 days? 2 days. She'll be back Thursday because she's gonna go on Friday morning.
That's right.
2
Friday
days.
morning. Oh, we need to talk about time frame of meeting up on Friday morning.
Okay, so that's all we really need, that I think on this session here. So some of us are going
Have
on,
to go throw wood away.
Hurry.
it starts at 7, right?
So what time